Hello and welcome to my podcast, Understanding Children and Teens. I'm Judy Bartkowiak and I run NLP and EFT Kids. I'm a trainer and a children and teens therapist and the author of a number of books. One of them is in the Engaging NLP series of workbooks. And this one that I'm looking at today is called Engaging NLP for Parents. It's quite a simple, easy to read workbook with a number of exercises. So for busy parents, this is an ideal dip into the world of NLP, and it's a much quicker read than some of my other books, which, dare I say it, are quite lengthy and much more in depth. So let's start with the first presupposition of NLP. These presuppositions were created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder back in the 60s when they developed neuro-linguistic programming. They were trying to find whether they could sort of code excellence. They were intrigued by the fact that people with apparently similar skills and abilities produced quite different results, and that it didn't seem to be simply a matter of maybe copying a technique or a structure or strategy, but that actually it may have to do with the underlying belief about doing that thing. So this one is the first of these presuppositions, and I think possibly the most important, although it does tend to depend on the client I'm with at the time and which of these presuppositions tends to particularly apply. So this one is, if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got. So I'm sure we've all heard of this, but I'll take it a little slower. If you always do what you've always done, then you will always get what you've always got. Which means basically that if you keep repeating the same pattern, the same behaviour, you will basically get the same result. And there are a number of ways that I explain this to children. And one of the ways is actually to talk about snow and to talk about, remembering the time when there was snow in the garden, maybe last year, the year before, or whatever. We don't have snow very often in the UK, so most children do remember it. If you're listening to this from maybe the US or Canada or somewhere where you have a lot of snow, then this perhaps wouldn't work so well. You may have to think of another analogy. But I say, if you remember the time when there was a lot of snow in the garden, and you step outside, maybe the snow goes over your welly boots, it gets your socks wet. But after a while, you keep walking the same path through the snow and it treads down, it forms a path, and you sort of can make your way to the gate or to the swing or whatever, because you form a path by repeating the same pattern with our wellies in the snow. And of course, that's a bit like our neural pathways. It's like, oh, this is the way we do it. And even if it may not necessarily work, we still keep doing it. And this particularly happens in times of stress. So we might keep on nagging our child to do their homework because we're feeling stressed. And it's very hard to step away from that and say to ourselves, hang on a sec, this isn't actually working. Why don't I think of a different way? And of course, it's the same for children. They may approach a problem in the schoolwork in exactly the same way. But when we use the same belief each time, we'll get the same result. And the thing that we need to change really is the belief that we have about it. So this is a great presupposition to talk about with children and teens, and it's often a point of conversation with them when we first start working together to talk about those things and sort of having a little laugh together about how we might repeat the same thing, like, Mom, can I have a new phone? Or Dad, can I have this? Or can I do this? Can I stay up later? Do I have to do my homework? Do I have to eat my veg? And so on. And they ask the same things and you get them the same answer. So we have a bit of a conversation about that, and we talk about the neural pathways and talk a little bit actually about neuroplasticity and how actually we can change our pathways and we can think differently. We can hold a different belief, and that beliefs aren't facts. and we might talk about things that they may have believed perhaps when they were small children, and things that they no longer believe. So they may have perhaps believed in the Tooth Fairy or Father Christmas, or that they couldn't walk, or that they couldn't spell a particular word. And of course, experience, patience, repeating, doing it, trying things from a different way can change the result. So this presupposition is all about the fact that if the results you're getting, such as your child's behaviour, is not what you want, then you must change your own behaviour in order to get a different result. So that's quite important. A lot of parents continue saying the same things, getting annoyed about the same things, trying the same tactics to get their children to brush their teeth, go to bed, not do this, do that, etc. But actually, we can't control others in that way. The way to get them to change their behaviour is to change the way we ask. So it's about a new way of thinking, doing something different. And when we do something different, we get a different result. So the first way to do this is to decide what result you want. There could be any number of results, such as children doing what they're told, not throwing things, shouting, and so on. So think of a situation that occurs frequently in your family that you'd like to change, and just write it down. I want to change ... It may be something that you want to discuss with your partner. Maybe they want to change the same thing. Maybe you could work on different things that are important to you. Remember, though, that it's important to think about what you do want, not what you don't want. So when I say I want to change, this is what we want to change something to, not to stop something happening. So now think about what you'd like to happen. What's your desirable outcome? And write that down. What I want to happen is ... And you may have different views about what you want to happen. Just work them through one at a time, though. What I want to happen is for such and such, for so and so to do this, or for bedtime to be peaceful and calm, or for teeth to be brushed without it being a battle. So, if that's without a battle, instead of putting in the negative thing, the teeth to be brushed just automatically and happily. When you decide on what results you want, you need to be quite specific and get to the detail. What exactly do you want? From whom, when, and in what way? So precisely what do you want to happen? And from whom, when, and in what way? So write down, I want ... and write down exactly what you want to happen. Sometimes, it can be quite hard to think about what you want to happen when you've been focusing such a lot on what you don't want to happen. It's like, I don't want there to be a fight at bedtime. I don't want there to be an argument every mealtime. Actually, when we think about, so what do you want? What is the thing you do want? It's quite remarkable how difficult parents sometimes find that, So the more specific you can be about what you want to happen, the easier it will be to decide how to change what you're currently doing in order to achieve it. Because your current behaviour is dictated by your beliefs. The reason you're shouting or using the words you're using, telling them to do certain things, is because you have a belief that it's important for them to do what you ask. Now, this belief stems from your own childhood, how you were brought up, what you consider to be of value and important about how to bring up your children. This may have come from the mores of the culture you're from, the area or region, or who you spent time with in your environment. If what you're doing is not working, then look at that underlying belief for this behaviour. Are you sure your underlying belief is sound? Could you be carrying forward into the present a belief that belongs in the past? Look back at the situation you've written about and list all the beliefs that underpin your thinking. What do you hold in your head about what should happen in that situation? So write down, I believe that ... I believe that ... I believe that ... Write down your beliefs about the thing that you want to change. And think about, where have those beliefs come from? Are they still valid for you today? Are they serving you well? Or are they actually making life more difficult? I do remember when mine were little that I had this belief that homework had to be done. The moment they got back from school, it's sort of right home, snack, something to drink, and let's get homework done. But actually, that didn't work because I've got 4 children, and two of them actually found that, especially the boys, found that after school they may have had sports activities, they were really tired. Once they'd had a snack and everything, they practically wanted to go to bed. They certainly wanted to play and relax after school and so on, have some sort of chill time. So that wasn't a good time for doing homework, and one needs to be perhaps a little flexible. And both of them did their homework in the morning over the breakfast table. So having sort of, school homework stuff and sort of toast and eggs and goodness knows what else, all a bit of a mess. But it was done, and it was done while they were fresh. So, when you're thinking about what it is you want to change, think about when you're thinking about flexibility and what you could do instead, be really flexible and open to, what would work for them. Rather than just simply sticking to what you believe to be the right way of doing it, because really there are no particularly right ways, they're just different ways. So think about, are those beliefs that you've got about that thing, are they serving you well or making life more difficult? Could you rethink a belief so that you could make other choices of behaviour? Whenever you find yourself thinking, I should, dot, 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 change it. There aren't that many shoulds. When we think about changing it and we change it to I could do, then you give yourself permission to do something different or at a different time in a different way. You give yourself flexibility. I could do my homework now, or I could do my homework in the morning. I could do my homework after I've run around the garden, after I've chilled for a bit. So just change your shoulds to coulds. Shoulds in many ways are described as sort of like toxic words because they really trap you, don't they? They really put you in a stuck place where you've got not much wiggle room. So do your beliefs limit your choice of behaviour? Increase your options and change your behaviour to get the result you want. And of course, this is an excellent challenge for children. How often do they repeat the same behaviour, get the same result, and wish they'd got another one? They have the same choices as you. Ask them what they want to happen in the situation. Ask them to describe it in detail, even act it out if that helps. I often do that with my clients. We don't want to just sit there looking at each other, sitting on chairs. Therapy nowadays is very relaxed. We can walk around the garden and talk. We can move around. We can do a bit of acting, do a bit of drama, a bit of art, and so on. And this really opens up possibilities. There's not only one way of doing it. After all, if you don't show flexibility in how you're working and talking with a child, how can you expect them to be flexible in the options they have? So ask them what they could do differently to make this result happen for them. Discuss with them their different options, how likely each one would bring about the outcome they desire. I often suggest that they think up the number of options of the age they are. So I was talking to a client this morning and their child was 9 years old, and I suggested that they think of 9 different ways to address a particular problem. And to become a problem solver, to imagine, who's their favourite detective, is it Poirot or the person from Midsummer Murders or whoever else is a Sherlock Holmes, of course, and they can sort of get their little magnifying glass and pretend they're a detective and sort of think, be really curious. What are the different ways I could do this? What are my other options? And of course, the more options we have, the better. So discuss with them their options and how likely each one would bring about the outcome they desire. And of course, with that, we need to recognise that there's no failure, only feedback. Maybe their option won't work. Maybe they'll find that it didn't work and you need to try another one. And that's fine. That's all part of the learning process. So this process requires that they step into the shoes of the other people involved in the situation as well, rather than just look at it from their point of view. And this is an enormously powerful tool that they can learn as a toddler and apply throughout their life. So this was the first presupposition. If you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got. And it's taken from the Engaging NLP for Parents, workbook that you can buy from my website, which is www.nlpfamily.com. You can also, of course, get it from pretty much any bookshop or from Amazon. Or the Book Depository actually sells books without having to charge for shipping, which is pretty good. So I'll leave you with that one, and I'm curious as to which situation you may be thinking of changing. Do get in touch and let me know. Bye.